All right. Hi, everybody. It's our CFB Talk 77. We have a special guest who's going to be joining us this afternoon, Tulane head coach Willie Fritz. My name is Bobak Hayeri. I'm going to be joined by my co-hosts, JD Moore and Sirius, and we're going to go ahead and fire everything up right now. All right, so Willie Fritz, we're looking forward to talking to him about the great start. Green Wave football, 3-0 with that big upset of K-State this past weekend. Should be good.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Willie Fritz has had so many different successes at so many different levels of college football. And right now, Tulane is on an incredible season for right now. 3-0, this is the best season that they've had started since 1998 with that very famous team way back when. But of course, a huge upset over Kansas State this past Saturday, a 17-10 victory for the Green Wave. And of course, Willie Fritz is going to be coming up on here in just a moment. We're really excited to have him on board speaking with us.
All right. Well, Coach Fritz, thank you for joining us.
Can you guys hear me?
There we go. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We have this incredible academic institution, but it took about three of us who didn't graduate from Tulane to get this all set up. So we should have brought someone from Tulane in here and we would have got it done in a hurry.
Hey, absolutely. But Coach, we really appreciate your time with you today. Obviously, you are off a huge win against Kansas State. You are on the best record for Tulane since that famous 1998 season. What are the vibes right now happening in your locker room as you're heading in to a big rivalry matchup this upcoming week?
Oh, we got a bunch of great kids. We got a lot, really veteran squad. Before the season began, pro football focus, you can, pull up just about anything. And one of the things I pulled up was how many snaps did guys have at the Division I level. We had many guys that had played over 1,000 snaps in their collegiate career. So we've got a veteran squad. And I think they understand that, we got to have the same preparation week in and week out. We went up there to Kansas State. Everybody, really believed we were going to win. That's the first part you got to have. You can't just have 5 or 6 guys thinking that way. And I think everybody really believed that we were going to win. And it was a hard-fought game from beginning to the end. And the guys competed throughout the ball game. And, when the game got over, everybody was really excited. But on Sunday, I had to kick a bunch of these guys out of here because they were wanting to get started on Southern Miss. They've got this rule in the NCAA, you got to take a day off each week. And our day off is Sunday. So I'm just excited that they've handled this in an adult manner and want to do bigger and better things.
Absolutely love to hear that, Coach. And, I think it's remarkable to see, again, how strong you guys have started this season. I mean, your defense in particular has been amazing, only giving up 20 points on the year so far, shutting out teams in second halves. And your defense stopped the Kansas State Wildcats on 4th and short twice. Again, in the fourth quarter, prior to your game-winning drive, held them to 1 out of 5 attempts on 4th down for the whole game. What's been the difference maker so far for your defensive squad for this season?
Well, I had some new coaches last year. Chris Hampton's done just a phenomenal job with our defense. He's our defensive coordinator, and then all the assistant coaches. Josh Christian Young, Mike Moots, Travion Robertson, JJ McCleskey. Everybody on the defensive side of the ball, the coaches have done a super job. I think our kids understand what we're doing. It's complex. Everything in football now is complex. You look at games from 20, 30 years ago, and everybody's running the same offense and the same defense and same special teams, and you just don't see that anymore. So our guys understand, but most importantly, we're tackling well. We're doing a good job playing with leverage, not allowing the ball to cross our face, and that's when the big runs and pass plays are produced. But I think that's been, something with the experience, understanding the scheme, but also the technique that's so important in tackling and leverage and playing man coverage and getting off of blocks, all those things.
Coach, we were asked, it's interesting, by one of the K-State fans, how you guys were game planning for Adrian Martinez heading into last weekend's game.
Well, he's a really good quarterback, big guy, runs it well. when you have a quarterback who can run it, they don't have to run Wildcat because he can run the football. And we ran the football a little bit more with our quarterback this past week as well. But, just making sure that we had somebody responsible for him, if it was a quarterback run. And that was tough because they got that great running back in Deuce Vaughn. And you had to make sure that you're ganging up on him as well. But when you got a quarterback who can run it, you kind of got to, pick your poison. And, we wanted to stop the run and make him throw the football. And we did a good enough job, in coverage that they didn't have very many successful pass plays against us.
Coach, in that fourth quarter, in that final drive that gives Tulane the lead, you've got 4 minutes remaining. Tyric Jones moves in motion, open in the flat to get the go-ahead touchdown. What was the decision behind that specific call?
Been working on it all week. It's during the course of the week, you work on high red zone. Everybody's got a different philosophy of where that's at, but it's usually between the plus 10 and the plus 19 yard line. And then you started working low red, which is, again, some people call that inside the 10-yard line. We talk about it being 6-7 yard line right in that area. But that was a play that we've been working on a bunch. And, a good play call, by our offensive coordinator, Jim Sabota, and good execution by the guys. And Michael threw a strike and a good catch by Tyric. But that's something we've been working on.
You've utilized option schemes, balance schemes. How much have you had to adapt your offensive game planning to this year's Tulane squad?
Yeah, I used to be really heavy duty option. We were a big time triple option team out of gun and a lot of spread formations. We did that at Sam Houston State when we made some pretty good runs there, and then Georgia Southern we did it. And I got here and I had a hard time finding quarterbacks, to be quite honest with you. So we evolved into, running our quarterback, running some option scheme, but we're a little bit more like, kind of everybody in college football now, where our option is kind of the RPO game. You can run the ball and you're reading defensive backs and throwing the ball behind them if they vacate an area. So we're not running quite as much option as we have in the past, but I think you got to have it in your back pocket because it's just so difficult for teams to defend that. When you're handing the ball off, you're really playing 10 on 11 football. And when you got the quarterback involved in the run game, you're playing 11 on 11, and that gives you a chance to be successful. But it's, you got to weigh that against the possibility of your quarterback getting hit a bunch, running the ball 10, 15, 20 times a game, which is what we used to do at Sam Houston State and Georgia Southern. And but we don't do it as much as we did back in the past. We'll probably run 3, 4, 5 option plays with our quarterback. And matter of fact, we had a big play on that. On our drive down the field, we pulled one time, had the tight end out in space blocking, and had about a 25-yard run with it.
Coach, I know obviously with this win over Kansas State, that's got to hit a certain note in your heart based off of your history with the Sunflower State, not to mention your playing days at Pittsburgh State with the Gorillas. You're an alum, and you're also a former teammate of Arkansas head coach Sam Pittman. What kind of development did you go through at Pittsburgh State to develop you as a coach and the guy that you are today?
Oh, I think Sammy would say the same thing. Our coaches there were just outstanding. Our head coach was Ron Randleman. And, I was an assistant coach for him for a long time at Sam Houston State as well. And he comes to a lot of my games. He'll be here this weekend, as a matter of fact. He's retired now, and he and his wife have got a house over in Mississippi, and they come over to, almost all my home games. And, so he was a big role model for me. And one of the reasons why I got into coaching. Matter of fact, our defensive coordinator, when we played at Pittsburgh State, he was on the sideline Saturday at Kansas State. He still lives in Pittsburgh, Kansas, and drove up to the game. And I think we had great coaches, and I probably had, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 former teammates that were at the game that played with me at Pittsburgh State that came to the game. So we're still a very close-knit group. We had a lot of success in college, and and really kind of my background a little bit more with Kansas State is I had some of my former players at Blinn Junior College that went up there and played. Michael Bishop played for me at Blinn Junior College. He's in their Ring of Honor. I actually took a picture before the game with Michael's name up in the background over my head. And then Quincy Morgan. Quincy was a great player, played in the NFL. I don't know, 8, 9, 10 years. Quincy played for me at Blinn as well. Went up, had a great career at Kansas State. But I haven't been back in a long time. I left the state in 1982, and I guess I coached a year of high school ball at Shawnee Mission Northwest, my high school alma mater. And I haven't been back in the state of Kansas since that time. So it'd been a long time since I'd been back on vacations. But as far as playing a game, it's the first time I played a game there.
Coach, with that kind of return, obviously you're going to have a lot of different emotions when you get to go turn in and have that type of emotion when you get to go play back in that field again. With your defense and being able to keep that really strong second energy half, I know that you obviously have to have some emotions when you're doing it, but your guys who are out hitting on the field, they obviously got to have that kind of emotion too when they're getting into the half. What's been your approach in keeping up their energy in the second half to keep their opponents from coming back into the game and ultimately closing out in these types of games?
Well, all the cliches, I guess, play the next play, move on from a mistake, move on from a great play. I think sometimes people sit around and they revel in past successes or they sit around pot like a baby over failures, and you're not going to be the best you can play. And that goes with every single play of the game. If you play 80 snaps in a game and 75 of them are really good and 5 of them aren't very good, you might have played a really poor game, depending on the outcome of those 5 plays that weren't very good. So we just try to get our guys to have that mindset, and we have pretty up-tempo practices. I think that's important. I do think you're going to play how you prepare, and we pride ourselves in preparing the same way every single week. Again, that's kind of something I got from Coach Randleman. But that's what we try to get with our guys. Just, I've learned, I remember when I first became a head coach, I had a great pregame talk our first game, and we went out and won. And a few weeks later, I had a better pregame talk, and we got our butts kicked. So I learned that it really doesn't matter. It's the preparation during the course of the week is what's going to, help you play to the best of your ability.
Coach, one thing I've been wanting to ask you, it's the 50th anniversary of Title IX this year. And your father, Harry Fritz, was really important in advancing the cause of women's college athletics. He was a co-author of, most people may not realize this, he was the co-author of the original constitution of the Association of Intercollegiate Athletics for Women, which, until 1980 was the primary organization for women's college sports until the NCAA finally added it for women in 81, 82. How inspirational has he been for you in going into sports and coaching?
Tell you what, you've done your homework. God almighty.
We try here.
We try indeed.
I'm very proud of that. And, I went to college, as you said before, Pittsburgh State, and all the women coaches down there just loved my father, and they'd always come up and talk to me, and I didn't realize it at the time, why they thought so highly of him. I just thought maybe because he's in charge of the NEI or something like that. But, years later, you start finding out that, he was at the, forefront of giving equal rights for women in collegiate athletics, which wasn't the case. And one of my sisters was an athlete at Western Illinois University, and I had another sister who was a great swimmer at Mizzou, and this was before the NCAA, had women's athletics. We were very proud of the fact that he was, at the beginning of, having equal rights and opportunities for women. Thank you for bringing that up.
Oh, and he was a coach as well. I know he coached at least one season at Central Missouri, where you were a head coach for many years. This is a very successful head coach at that level. But he also went into administration. Has that ever been tempting to you? I mean, you mentioned, he was the head of the NAIA for a while there, but also, AD at Western Illinois as well. Has that ever been something you've considered going to administration one day, or do you prefer being a head coach?
Oh, I like coaching. I like, being involved with student athletes and helping them succeed in life. And, there really isn't a day goes by that I don't talk to, one, two, three of my former athletes. I had a couple calls last night from a couple guys who played for me. Today I got an email from a guy that played for me in '87 at Coffeyville Community College, and he's at the game. I just hear from guys all the time, and you hope you have a positive impact, and that's the real reason why you get into it. You want to win, don't get me wrong. But you can win and do it the right way, and that's what we're wanting to do here at Tulane and every place that I've been at.
Talking about your past stops along your career, we had some fans commenting on how you made a video for Sam Houston State's 10-year anniversary of the 2012 team, and how much programs they've been able to work their way up and go into the FBS ranks. Can you tell us a little bit about the time there and what it means to see that team now make its step up into kind of the big leagues of FBS competition?
Really, I got a degree from Sam Houston. Two of my kids have got degrees from Sam Houston State. My wife and I loved every place that we've been. We've been in a lot of different places. And that was special with them getting recognized. The 2012 team, it kind of, Coach Randall had done a fantastic job there at Sam Houston. It kind of fell on hard times for a few years, and we were able to pick it back up. And Coach Keeler's done an excellent job there also. But, one of the funnest times I had was a few years ago when a bunch of schools, a bunch of levels played in the football in the spring. And I was able to go. I had reunions at Coffeyville Community College, where I was the D coordinator. They were playing in the spring. And then we had a reunion at Blinn Junior College, and then we had one at Sam Houston State. I never get to go to games. I'm always working on Saturdays. So that's probably one of the only things I'm really looking forward to when I retire here in 20 years is being able to go to games and see a bunch of my old players. But that was really special. We had I think we had 50, 60 guys that came to the reunion at Blinn. And then we had a ton of guys at Coffeyville Community College, that reunion. And it coincided with, I coached for a great guy named Dick Foster there. And we had a service for him. He'd passed away a few months before. And then at Sam Houston, we must have had, 100 guys that were at this deal. So, neat place, neat school. My kids got a great education there, and so did I when I was a graduate assistant back in the early 80s. So, love the old Bearcats.
Coach, I know that you are sensitive on time, so I'm going to ask one last question before we go ahead and let you go. You obviously coach in Nolens, which is one of the greatest food cities in the world. When you get
name of the city too, you said it right. Nolens. There you go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But when you are out and about and you get the opportunity to go get a bite somewhere, where are you normally going for some good, high-quality Louisiana food?
I can't name one place. I want to name a few. Okay, Katie's is unbelievable. There's the guy who runs the place, Scott, is a big Tulane fan. Comes to comes to almost all of our games. But they've got a Oyster Schlesinger. It's actually named after Mark Schlesinger, head basketball coach at UNO. But it is unbelievable. Great place to eat. If you come to town, you need to go by Katie's. There's another place I love going, and that's Giacomo's. I'm a fried chicken junkie, and I think they got the best fried chicken in town. And they've got a little casserole called alligator crawfish and shrimp cheesecake, and it's served like a piece of cheesecake. I think it's calorie free. No, I think it's probably 5%. Yeah, but great place. And then when I get a steak, I go to this place called Mr. John's. A guy who owns the place is a guy named Desi Vega. He's got a bunch of restaurants here in town. He's a former Tulane baseball player. So, and the guy who owns Giacomo's is a Tulane graduate as well. But so there's just I left out a bunch of places. There's you can't go wrong in the city. There's I've probably been to 100 different restaurants and have had 100 great meals.
I got to agree with you there. You can't go wrong in New Orleans. Well, Coach, we know your time is valuable. Thanks for stopping by to talk to us, and good luck this week.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me on. Roll Wave.
Roll Wave.
All right. Well, thanks to all of you who joined us today. This was our CFB Talk 77. We just had Tulane head coach Willie Fritz. So on behalf of myself, Bob Akhieri, JD Moore, and Sirius, who had some audio issues today, thanks for joining us. And now I'm going to hang up and listen.